Okay, this one was called a reflective mind, maybe something like that. Reflections and ripples. I haven't actually got a proper title for it yet, but as you can see, it's a painting of a brain, another foil brain, well, a foil brain, another foil painting. Painted a brain. Been thinking about the brain because I've been reading about the brain. There's a book by a guy called Ian McGilchrist called The Master and His Emissary. And it's about the hemispheres of the brain and their abilities. They're kind of like complementary skill sets, I guess. And they're also asymmetrical sort of skill sets. So the right side of the brain is the side that is like artistic and creative and emotional. It can't talk. It's silent, and it's big picture and contextual. I guess like it's taking in the context of the whole. And the left side is a very focused attention. It's logic, it's speech, and it's about obtaining and getting things that are within your reach, within your focus. So in the book, The Master and His Emissary, Ian Gilchrist says that the two sides of the brain have two different modes of focus, like attentional modes, I guess. And the right brain is kind of like a floodlight. It's a broad light which sort of looks over all the information, sort of brings it together. And then the left brain is more like a spotlight. It's very focused, narrow attention. Like, yeah. So I suppose if you are like hunting back in the day, or you're looking at an object closely, or maybe you're looking at a mate, potential mate. That's all the left brain. And he gives the example in the book of birds, like when birds are sort of like looking for seeds and things in the ground, they'll be using their right eye, hopping around and sort of like looking at the ground with their right eye, and they'll be scanning the rest of the environment with their left eye. And so if you sort of come up to a bird which is, in your backyard or something, it'll look at you with its left eye first, which will be the broad sort of context of its environment, and it'll be sort of looking at you to get a sense of what you are, if you're a threat or whatever. And then it'll probably flick to its other eye, which would be the right eye. And that's sort of like the focused part of the brain, which will kind of then, I don't know, do something with that information and probably fly away. Yeah, anyway, I just thought that was fascinating, the way that like the two halves of the brain have different purposes. They don't actually even necessarily communicate that much. They both just sort of have their little niches, and they sort of fall into their niche. Um, yeah. So anyway, I was thinking about brains and awareness and things like that, I guess, when I was starting this painting. And I painted the brain, and I was kind of happy with the brain. And then I originally wanted to just sort of put it on like a flat background, sort of have it a bit like a moon or something like that, in a sort of monochrome void. And then I changed my mind and tried to put it sort of inside like a cylinder or a tube. Painted that, wasn't happy with the brain in the tube. So then got rid of that and had the idea for raindrops as a sort of background, or sort of like ripples and raindrops, rippling circles. I liked the circles, to be honest. Like I drew one circle and then I liked that, and then I thought I want a few more circles. So I went with sort of like a raindrop theme, and I liked that because I I'm getting a lot of ideas, like a lot of ideas for paintings and businesses, and I don't know, who knows what. I'm a bit of a schemer, so I'm having lots of schemes come to me at the moment, and dreams and ideas, and the raindrops seemed like a nice representation of that, and maybe that's why they came to my mind. They're kind of like dropping and falling and kind of rippling out into each other and crossing over and whatever. So that's kind of what I just went with. But the actual finished product was not that satisfactory. The colors are nice. I like the colors, but yeah, the painting itself, meh. The ripples actually were the problem. I liked the idea of the ripples, but I didn't really pull them off. So maybe the next painting will be just ripples. But anyway, this painting, it was a mistake. Not a mistake. It was a learning experience. Let's say that it didn't come out quite how I wanted it to. The actual finished product, I'm not happy with. There's a Spanish artist I've discovered who is doing some really like astonishing paintings of like cities and people, kind of hyper real in a way, but also sort of dreamy and colorful. A lot of like really strong contrast as well, which you might be able to tell that I like from this painting. Yeah, sort of night cityscapes with people in them and things. So I'm going to just try and paint like him because I really like his paintings. Hope you've enjoyed this rambling nonsense, and I'll try to edit it into something cohesive and paint something cohesive again next time. All the best. Ciao.